Gang, hope you are very well. Welcome to another vlog. If you have noticed or haven't noticed, I basically pulled the vlog frequency down from 2 to 1. Now we're actually going to push it from 1 to 2. I just had a very busy time period in my life, and these are free. So they get pulled down, but now they're getting pushed back up. If you give a fuck. If you do give a fuck, fantastic. You get to see my face twice a week. Anyway, we're going to get into a Q&A session. I've basically written them all down from Instagram. So basically, we're going to get into the questions as usual. So I suppose I've just picked out the first, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now you know I can count. We've got 11 questions to get through. So, first one. Why the running and cycling? Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be aware that I have started running and cycling. Hence question. This is purely coming from the standpoint of this push-up phase is going to be very, very large, and I don't want to mini cut for a very, very, very long time. Ideally, I'd want a whole 12-month stretch where I don't mini cut. So like this time next year, probably going to do a clean-up phase. But yeah, I don't really want to go into a deficit for at least 12 months. And the only way I can really realistically do that is to integrate cardio. And also from a simple standpoint of digestion. I do notice when I have cardio in place, my digestion is insane. It's really fucking good. And then also from a standpoint of just like general fitness. Look, I'm nearly fucking 30, which is scary. I'm nearly 30, and I'm at the stage of my life right now where I prioritize, I suppose, like how I feel as well as how I look. Now, yeah, like there might be an opportunity where one day we have kids, me and Nat, you know, and like, I don't want to get to the point where I just have like zero energy and all I want to do is basically just sit down the whole day because I'm fucked from training, you know, or something like that. You have to understand that I really want to prioritize how I feel as well as how I look. Now, I suppose when I was like, 20, probably even before that, 18 to maybe like 26, 27, all I wanted to do was look good. I'm at a position right now where I'm actually okay with how I look. Like I feel like I look pretty decent, right? Obviously, I always want to build more muscle. That goes without saying. However, I suppose like the way I look is a lot more sat back in my kind of like order of priority, and the way I feel is like pushed up a little bit. So that's basically the rationale. It's nothing major. It's not like I'm doing like half marathons. I mean, today I just did a 20 kilogram hybrid athlete. I think I did that on my Instagram story this morning as well. I did a 20-kilometer cycle ride, which sounds fucking miles, by the way. But when you're on a like bicycle, it's super easy. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like fit. I wouldn't say I'm unfit, but like yeah, doing 20k is like an average speed of 20 miles an hour is not that taxing. So. That's basically the rationale. And also, I went to Greece last week. I didn't have a bike. My preferred method of, I suppose, doing cardio is going to be bike, just because it's low impact. And also, a secret one. Have you seen cyclists' calves? Anecdotally, they're very good. So there is a selfish endeavour as well. So cardiovascular health, and I want wham calves. Anyway. If calories and macros, so protein, carbs, fats, and brackets, are on point, but sugar is a little high, does it impact weight loss? Weight loss, no. Fat loss, maybe. What I mean by that is you have to look at, I suppose, like from an energy balance standpoint, if you, I suppose, like eat less and move more, so you're burning more calories than you eat, you're going to lose weight. However, the retention of muscle, you probably want to prioritize training performance. Now, if a lot of that's coming from sugar, understand that you're going to get a large, I suppose, like glucose spike, and then you're going to get a drop off. Which, if you're training for like, say, 1 or 2 hours, you want that energy to be consistent. So you'd want more single food sources. I'd say for the most part, as long as you're not like maybe north of like 120, maybe 150 grams of sugar per day. I think if you're north of that, I think go below that. I think if you're anywhere below that, you're okay. So yeah, you have to look at like weight loss and fat loss, like the retention of muscle, as like two different things because they are. So yeah, again, and also like understand if you've got like all of your carbohydrates are coming from like sugar, you're probably gonna feel quite crap as well, which is kind of linked back towards like the running and cycling. It's like we don't just do this to look good, we do this to feel good as well. And if you're getting a lot of your calories from like sugar, then you're gonna feel pretty crap, right? Especially when it glycogen dumps, which will happen. I don't know if you've ever like had something very, very sugary at night, right before bed, for example, and you wake up like in a cold sweat. It's basically you're going hypo, right? So you don't want to, you kind of want to avoid that throughout the day, basically. So next question: strength is flying, but appetite is fucked. Actually says ducked, which is an iPhone correction. Do I continue the mass? Depending on your goals. If you're a competitive athlete, I would say probably like just push through it. If you're someone who is like a bit gen poppy and you just want to build a bit of muscle, then you can pull back. Also understand like I suppose like with the weather being what it is in the minute, which is like reasonably hot. I understand that appetite does get a little bit tanked, but I suppose this is context dependent. Whereas like if your goals are competitive, push through it. Only take mini cuts. Like especially like when like strength is starting to dip a little bit, like fatigue is through the fucking roof, appetite's fucked, sleep is fucked, right? Then I'd start to pull back. Of course, like body composition as well. Obviously, you haven't mentioned body composition at all here. So yeah, I guess it's like that's kind of the context where I'd say, yeah, pull back or keep going essentially. But very broadly, yeah, if strength is flying and appetite's fucked as a competitor, it's like, welcome to a massing phase. Next question. There's two actually on shoes and sneakers. So, can we get a sneaker vlog running through all your shoes? Number one, I thought about this many times. I did one like way back when I first started YouTube. Really, I have since upgraded a lot of my sneaker game. But it would be a kind of a thing like, are you actually interested in that vlog? Because if you are, then I make it. If not, then I won't make it. I would probably need to wait for a couple more shoes to arrive before I make the vlog, but I've got some doozy ones coming. So, and then the next one is basically linked. I think it's the same person asking. Do you think you have the best shoe game in the industry? I am not aware of many people who have a selection like mine, and this is the thing. If I do make the vlog, you'll realize that I'm not like a hype guy. I just like the sneakers that I have. So I've got a lot of shoes that potentially some people are like, but when you see them in person, they're like they're flames, right? And that to me, by the way, is like what a sneakerhead is. A true sneakerhead is actually just buying shoes that you actually like, versus I suppose like just buying hype. Like you can buy all the Travis Scotts in the whole entire world, but I kind of know that you're not really a sneakerhead unless you really fucking love Travis Scotts. Like some of them are okay, but like realistically for me, I'd only buy the mockers and the reverse mockers. That's it. I don't really like any of the rest. Whereas as some people will have the whole selection and call themselves like sneakerheads, it's like, okay, but they're not all fire, right? They're just different colorways. So yeah, like for me, like the true definition of a sneakerhead is actually just like buying the shoes that you fucking like. Because a lot of people buy shoes and they've got these like off-whites and they've got all of these different kinds of shoes and they're just sat in a box. It's like all of my shoes upstairs have all been worn and will be continued to be worn, right? Because I'm going to absolutely batter every fucking pair. And to me, that's a sneakerhead. It's buying shoes that you actually fucking like. But yeah, let me know if you actually want to see the vlog, because obviously, yeah, it will take a little bit of time to run through them all. People you take inspo from in the industry. By the way, to go back to the one about, do you think you have the best shoe game in the industry? I think yes, I'll take the title. Again, I just think a lot of people who I've seen on social media who are into fitness and shoes, they go for hype. And that to me is not a sneakerhead. So I'll take the crown. Yeah, people who you take inspo from in the industry. Okay, this is a good one because I'll be very like brutally honest about this. And there's people who I respect in the industry, but there's a point of respect, and then not. I don't look up to people, and that might sound very like narcissistic, but I think if you're consistently looking up to people, you're putting yourself down. I'll put this as a basketball analogy, right? Do you think Kobe respected Michael Jordan? Yeah. Did you think that Kobe thought he was better than MJ? Yep. Do you think LeBron thinks he's better than Kobe and MJ? Yeah. Does he respect them? Yeah. So like, as big-headed as it sounds, I think I'm one of the best people in the industry. And I mean that from I truly believe that standpoint, but I also respect people. And the reason why I suppose, don't look up to people is because when I look up to people, I tend to really, really doubt myself and have the like imposter syndrome come in, which as soon as I start to look at people who I suppose like look up to, I'll start to really, I suppose, like diminish creativity, content production and stuff like that. And then I suppose like really doubt my ability to coach as well. So I come at it from the standpoint of I still respect people. I respect a lot of people in the industry, but I am at the point where I'm like, I think I'm better than them. Does that make sense? That might sound really big-headed, but I think that it's important to respect, but not always look up to people. So yeah, I think that a lot of people put, especially coaches, they put a lot of people on pedestals, and then they're like, oh, I'm shit because I'm not this guy. It's like, stop spending half your time fucking looking up. Like, believe you're the best and fucking believe it within your heart, you know? So yeah, and I also think I'm not very well liked in the industry, just from the simple standpoint of I'll just say whatever the fuck I'm thinking. And some people don't like it, but if you're not going to buy from me, I don't really give a fuck. What's your stance on training intensifiers? I like them. They're a bit of fun. I wouldn't have them in every single program. I would have them largely at the back end of, I suppose, like not the workout, but when we've taxed the muscle. No point in doing like, I suppose, like back training intensifiers right at the start of your like back workout, unless you're there like, I suppose, like pumping blood into the into the muscle, right? But yeah, they're good, I suppose. My stance is I like them. How long do you normally train for? Like hour and a half, maybe. In prep, it was like 2.5, maybe 3. So yeah. Do you think keto has any place in bodybuilding? I'm thinking of running it. If you're thinking of running it, don't. There's my answer to that. Keto's, yeah, one of them ones where like I will just, from a bodybuilding standpoint, running on like very limited carbohydrates is the stupidest thing you can ever do. It's like, what energy source is going to be the greatest for us bodybuilders in terms of training performance and recovery? It's carbs. You just literally cut the whole fucking like macronutrient out. If you're actually going to cut out carb, it would probably be fats. Instead, we've got like fats high and protein high. It's like, I'd actually rather fats really low and carbs real jacked up. So yeah, tips on progressing in the gym when working a labor intensive job. Pull training intensity down and frequency down, and then adapt from there. So pull everything back in terms of like, I suppose like if you're training 6 times a week, pull it back to like 3 or 4. Pull training intensity back, right? So train with like reps in reserve for a little bit, and then once you've like pulled everything back, then you can start dialing everything up, right? I think a lot of people, especially when they have labor intensive jobs, especially if they're not used to it, so they've gone from like an office environment, which is quite common, office environment to like a labor intensive job, and they still try and train like they did with the office job. It's like, no, you're gonna have to pull back. So yeah, basically what I do is almost like, I suppose like making like spaghetti bolognese, right? When you make the tomato ragu, right? It's like you have all these ingredients and then you salt it and then you taste it, and then if it's not salty enough and it's not like to your taste, you would then add more ingredients. And I think a lot of people like throw everything within the pan and it's like, oh shit, it's too salty and you can't get rid of it, right? So with our stuff, we basically start with like bare basics, which is like pull everything back in terms of like training intensity and volume and stuff like that. And then from there, we then add salt in accordingly, which in this one would be like maybe increased like training intensity and increased training volume and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd start like really like strip back, and then if you can recover from more, then do more, right? So yeah, I think it just requires actually just more rest days. I think that's basically it. Also, a lot of people really avoid things like hinging when going for a labor intensive job because they are practically hinging all day. However, a lot of laborers report like really like fucked lower backs, and the reason for that is quite simply they're not loading the lower back as efficiently. They're loading it in like a really weird manner with like just heavy lifting, but they're not necessarily strengthening the things like erectors and stuff like that, and just like the lumbar in general, because they're not in that hinge position. Essentially, the more you can load it in that hinge position, the stronger it's going to be, which means you ultimately, after a long time, probably have a stronger back, which means you won't have like, I suppose, like problems later down the line, right? So yeah, I think the worst thing you can do is pull things like hinging out, because obviously it's just going to get weak. Last question, because we're nearly at 15 minutes. So actually I thought I was going to have longer. That's good. Pressing feels really grindy at the minute. Any tips for this, please? Yeah, I suppose like if you're going into, say for example, you just walk into the gym and you start then pressing. It's like, yeah, you're probably that's probably the reason for it. So you're not probably warm. So number one, maybe just more warm up sets. Number two, you can do things like doing lat raises before you do pressing. I tend to find that works pretty well. There is other things like, I suppose, like doing some like cable pullovers to pull blood into the lats, which would like cross transfer onto pressing. Essentially, if you've got more blood in like the upper back and the lat area, you're going to create more of a stable base in terms of pressing. And then apart from that, I suppose the kind of next thing would be go to a local physio. If you don't know any physios, I know a couple online physios who are shit hot. So I'll give you their, I suppose, like fling you their way, whatever. And then you can obviously go get lit up by them. They'll probably give you a program just to go off, and then you can just roll from it from there. But yeah, very basically, I suppose like warming up with like lat raises, cable pullovers, and then press. If you're still feeling like really grindy, then yeah, definitely go get like, I suppose, like a program specific to you, because understand the advice that I can give you now is going to be very general. But they could be like, actually, you've got this problem, and it all stems from like the joint by joint principle. It could be a simple case of like, I don't know, warming up your forearms or something stupid, right? Which can happen. It's like, I don't know, like you've got like lower back issue, right? Okay, you need to warm up like your calf area, or you've got shit ankle mobility. They then start to massage like the ankle, and then all of a sudden you have no lower back pain. It's quite interesting, the physio side of things. But anyway, I'll try that. Anyway, hope you're well. That was 1 out of 2 vlogs for this week done. Yeah, Any questions, then let me know in the comments. And yeah, if this helped, let me know. And if you want to see the shoe vlog, let me know in the comments pretty ASAP, because I might do it for Friday's vlog. We'll see. Anyway, bye.